Hi, this is Genevieve from Town Hall Library in North Lake, Wisconsin, and today I'm going to run you through how to make a quick cloth face mask. Now this particular pattern uses elastic to hold around the ears. Ideally you're going to want 1/8 inch elastic, that's the most comfortable, but you can go up to 1/4 inch and it's still reasonably comfortable. Anything beyond that's a little bit bulky. You're going to need at least 2 pieces that are 7 inches long. And then you're going to need 2 pieces of cotton fabric, 100% cotton fabric. You're going to want to look through it and see that it has a nice tight weave, so you can't just see straight through it. Anything with a real loose wave is going to let particulates in. So quilting cotton works great. Old bed sheets work wonderfully. We're going to stay away from t-shirt material or things like that because they're just a little too loose to be safe. You're going to want at least 2 layers. Some people like to add a 3rd layer of flannel in there. That's completely up to you. This is our outside, this is our inside, so you're going to print out your pattern piece. This particular pattern is sized, so make sure you get the right one. This one is for a teen or a woman size. There is also a children's and men's sizes. I traced this one out. At the time they didn't have seam allowances, so I just put it on some tracing paper so that I wouldn't have to do seam allowances every time I cut, but I believe that the pattern has been updated since then. So once you have your pattern piece printed and cut out, you're going to take your fabric. This needs to be pre-washed on hot and dried on hot to make sure that it's already pre-shrunk. You're going to fold it in half, put your pattern piece on, and then cut, rotary cut, however you like. You're going to end up with 2 mirror image pieces, well, 4 total, 2 of your main fabric and 2 of your inner fabric. We're going to line them up, face right sides together, and sew along the long curved seam. You're going to do that for both. Sew along the long curved seam. Once you have sewn that seam, you're going to trim or clip the edges just to make it lie nice and flat. You're going to do just a few clips here and there, going right up to but not into your sewing line, and then you're going to press them. You can do with an iron. It's a little bit difficult, but you can do it. Otherwise, you can just finger press. That's fine. Now we're going to take our 2 pieces and we're going to fold them so that they curve the same direction. As you can see, we're going to line up those seams. Oops, right there. If you have these are quilting clips. They work really great, especially for that real skinny 1/8 inch elastic. It's really difficult to catch those with your straight pins, but if you don't have them, you certainly can work with these. So I'm going to do the top seam and the bottom seam just to kind of give myself a guide. Oops. And then along the sides, I'm going to use a thicker piece of elastic for this tutorial because partially I've run out of 1/8 inch elastic and also it's easier to see. So I'm going to tuck this in between my 2 layers like so. And then I'm going to just make sure that those corners line up, and I'm going to pin or clip, and then we're going to kind of untuck it a little bit. We're going to make sure that that elastic is not twisted and bring it back up to the other side, and again fold it on, make sure my corners are pretty even, and clip. Same thing on the other side. Elastic on the side. And you don't want to get it right up in the corner because you'll catch it in the seam allowance, but you want to give as much space there as you can so that it gives a nice wide bit of cloth there so it's not right up on your ears. Alright, last clip here, and we're going to make sure that that elastic is tucked in so that we don't catch it when we go around the mask for the seams. I'm going to bring my sewing machine over and move this just a touch so you can see what I'm doing. So we're going to start at the bottom, the curved bit at the top. We're going to start at the bottom and we're going to go about an inch and a half from the middle seam. We're going to start here and go all the way around. You're going to have about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And at the corners, oops, you're going to make sure your needle is down and just pick it up and twist it. As you go along the corners, you'll just want to make sure that when you're pulling the pins or the clips out that you're keeping that elastic in place. And then this curve tends to get a little off kilter, so I just like to make sure that those are both where they need to be before I start sewing. Nope, that's actually less helpful. Alright. This top curve can be a little tricky, so just take it slow and readjust as you need on the other side as well. Again, making sure that that elastic is in the middle and not going to get caught as you sew it. and needle down, up and twist, all the way around. And then we're once again going to go back to about an inch, inch and a half from that middle seam on the other side. So that gives us a nice 2 to 3 inch gap for which we're going to turn it around. So we're going to trim the threads, and then we're going to find our sewing scissors. And we're going to just clip these corners. So you just go through and make a little clip on each of the 4 corners. If you do find that your elastic is sticking out a little bit, you can just trim that as well, just to take down some of the bulk. It's not necessary. And then I like to trim this top corner as well, just to make it lay nice and flat. Again, making extra careful that you're not clipping any of your actual sewing seams. Now we've got all 4 of those corners clipped and my top curved nicely. So we're going to take that opening and pull it through. And just kind of give it a poke with your finger to make sure that that corner comes out as good as you can get it. You can use the elastic to kind of pull, poke, poke. And then I like to give it a little poke right up here at the corner to make sure that we get a nice crisp curve there, because that's going to be your nose guard. So again, you're going to make sure that they're fitted together snugly. And now we're going to top stitch. So all you're going to do is take that opening and fold it down approximately 1/4 of an inch. Just make sure it kind of lines up and that you're catching all those raw edges. I'm going to take another clip just to make sure that it stays put. And then I'm going to top stitch all the way around. Make sure on this one that you're starting and doing a little back tacking to make sure that those seams stay nice. And again, the top and bottom can be a little tricky, so just go slow as you need to go. When you get to these corners, my corners tend not to be super pointy, so I just kind of curve right on around them. You can also, lay it down and pick it up and twist it if you have nice crisp corners. And we're just going to continue top stitching about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. It doesn't really matter, so if you need a little extra, like if you need to go closer to 1/4 of an inch, that's fine. This is mostly just for stability and making sure it keeps its shape. I like to use a nice straight stitch at about a 2 to 2.5 inch stitch length, but you use whatever you like to use. Oops. Alright, you're going to trim those things. Then we're going to just trim our little edges there. Oh, and I've got a few little stragglers, so I'm going to trim those too. And voila, you have a face mask. Oops. Next time I'm going to show you how to make a face mask without elastic. If you, like I, have run out of elastic, we'll do ones with ties. And we can also talk about some other accessories that we can make these a little bit more comfortable. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you when the library's back open.